Hello, Namaste. The topic for my persuasive speech today is human rights violation in Bhutan. Let me begin with a popular quote from Pope Francis. I quote, "Migrants and refugees are not the pawns on the chessboard of humanity." Unquote. Bhutan is a tiny Himalayan kingdom sandwiched between two Asian giants, India to the south and China to the north. Its total population is approximately 700,000, which is comprised of diverse ethnicities. The country was ruled by a Buddhist theocratic ruler until 1907, when the Wangchuck dynasty took over as the hereditary monarch of the country. Since then, the present king is the fifth hereditary monarch in Bhutan. However, until 1952, there was no representation of the people in the system of governance. Command of the king used to be the final law of the land. Neighboring country India's freedom from British rule in 1947 played a crucial role to influence the demand of democracy in the region, including Bhutan. To subdue the people's voice for democracy, the third king of Bhutan, Jigme Dorji Wangchuck, established the National Assembly in 1952, claiming to open the door for the people's participation in the policy making and in the system of governance. As a result, Bhutan enacted its first Citizenship Act in 1958, declaring that anyone residing then in the country are the citizens of Bhutan. However, the act was not implemented until 1980s due to the reasons best known to the royal reason. It was in 1985 the Citizenship Act of 1958 was amended and implemented, declaring 1958 as the cutoff year for registering the citizenship. It was ordered that one must produce the documentary evidences dated prior to 1958 for proving the citizenship. This was impossible for many who were born after the cutoff year. Obviously, they did not have so-called documentary evidences of 1958 to prove for their citizenship. The main objective of this amendment of the Citizenship Act was to depopulate the ethnic Nepali Buddhist regions in the country as an attempt to ethnic cleansing. That was the beginning of the government's ruthless act of violating the human rights and fundamental freedom of the ethnic Nepalese Buddhists. In 1989, with high optimism that the king might listen to the grievances of the citizens, people made a peaceful appeal to the king, seeking his reconsideration to the amended Citizenship Act. However, instead of considering the appeal from the innocent citizens, the government termed it as an act of treason, and martial law was declared immediately in the whole of southern Bhutan. This resulted into mass arrest, torture, imprisonment, rape, and killings. Thousands of innocent citizens had to flee into exile to escape the wholehearted torture and to find a place for their safety and a means of survival. Bhutan, though a member of the UN, did not comply to the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. For example, the Article 2 of the UDHR says, everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedom set forth in the Declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Bhutan has in fact mocked every article of the UDHR by violating the human rights and became one of the largest refugee producer in human history. The Amnesty International, London, and the US Department of State have also reported Bhutan's violation of human rights. Amnesty reported the arbitrary arrest and detention without charge or trial of political prisoners, torture, rape, deaths in custody, and inadequate prisoner conditions. If Bhutan was committed to uphold the UN Charter as its member, there would not have been a refugee crisis in the first place. Even if there was a conflict, it could have been resolved amicably. Despite several efforts at the different levels, Bhutan continued to remain adamant in its position not to accept the repatriation of the refugees back to their home with dignity, equality, and freedom. On the other hand, Bhutan's continued violation of human rights is also the violation of its own constitution. For example, the Article 7 of its constitution establishes numerous rights, including many of the basic human rights enriched in international conventions, which are said to be essential for development of human personality and for the full realization of the human potential. It proves that the Constitution of Bhutan is merely meant to eyewash the international communities. Constitution is a hollow commitment of the world government and nothing beyond that. It's only meant for the monarchy. It is hard to believe for the global community that Bhutan, a Buddhist kingdom, supposed to be guided by the principles of nonviolence, the teaching of Lord Buddha, better known to the outside world as the land of gross national happiness, produced one of the largest population of the refugees, making a huge burden to the world. Efforts were made to resolve the crisis at the bilateral and international level, but could not yield any results. When all the efforts were exhausted and when the repatriation of the refugees was impossible, the option of third country resettlement had to be introduced in 2007 by the international communities. Since then, a vast majority of the refugees have been resettled in the various Western countries, including the United States, which offer to accept and welcome the largest population. The violation of human rights anywhere is a heinous crime against humanity. Every human being is born to live a free and dignified life on this planet without any form of discrimination or fear of persecution. Therefore, Bhutan, a member of the UN, has the core obligation to uphold the UN charters, covenants, and conventions. Bhutan must be held responsible for this crime against humanity. We appeal to the international community to support the voice of the Buddhist refugees who are spread worldwide today. It is a dire need for the international agencies to play a proactive role to find a comprehensive solution to the prolonged refugee crisis. Those who want to repatriate with dignity must be allowed. The people in the camps in Nepal and the families in Bhutan have been separated from their families for decades. Family reunification must be allowed. Along with that, all the political prisoners must be released unconditionally and reunited with their families wherever they are currently residing. Bhutan cannot be excluded from its responsibility. Last but not the least, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the international communities, especially the people and the government of the US to open their hearts and explore their avenues to welcome the witness refugees and support them for their resettlement with human dignity. At the same time, I'm very optimistic that with the support and solidarity from the global community, the refugee crisis will find solution acceptable to all the parties involved. Though the resettlement has given a new opportunity to thousands of families to restart their lives in different parts of the world, a solution to the remaining refugees in the camp is equally significant. Besides family reunification, repatriation, and the release of the political prisoners from the jail. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you.